Okay, hello, we're here in Christiania. This is Christiania, actually not the commercial part of Christiania, but the actual Christiania where everybody lives, or it's the lake, they live on the other side. And we walked through the commercial Christiania, and on the way we saw a sign saying that only freedom is holy. So therefore we're going to do a critical run discussing that topic of freedom and if it's the only holy thing there is today. So let's start. What does freedom mean, do you think?
Freedom mean?
What is freedom?
I think I'm gonna reverse the question. I'm gonna start from the holy part, because for me the holy is very interesting in that sense that I don't think there is a word holy that is not connected somehow to some kind of religious intention. At least for me, when you say holy, the first time I heard somebody saying holy, it was in the church, and in that sense it is connected to religion in my head, but there is nothing less free than the religion as well in my head, because you are being bound by some rules. They're kind of very external. They're not even from this earth. There are some kind of mental rules that are restricting you. So when you're saying only freedom is holy, I mean the dichotomy of this kind of phrase is extreme to me, because and this is really interesting.
It's kind of putting it into a box, confining it into being a space, saying that only freedom is holy. It's putting freedom. I think true freedom is only there if you do not think about freedom, and especially not thinking about putting it into a box as holy or into a category.
Because I mean, for me freedom, I cannot understand freedom in any human. I mean, in relation to humans, I don't think there is something that is freedom actually for people, because we are meant to kind of create all those by our actions, because we are a very complicated species, because we are having a lot of both like psychological and like also physical problems with the world and like surroundings. We create the restrictions somehow. So I don't believe in like in perfect freedom within the human world. But for me, freedom is when I look at the duck, for example, in the lake, or like an animal. This is my definition of freedom, because somehow it's a being in the world that is completely not restricted by any rules, and in that sense it is free somehow. So if you ask me like what freedom is, this is freedom, that thing, and that's all of those fuckers. This is the freedom.
So it's kind of like saying that self-awareness is taking away our freedom. Being aware that you are. I mean, if you just move according to whatever, then you're more truly free.
Yes.
So actually being critical as we are right now, it's actually making us less free.
Yes. Absolutely. We are being bound with. First of all, we have put ourselves in the situation, the context of asking about freedom, about different values, and this is taking away our freedom, because we are within this set of boundaries that we have set upon ourselves. It doesn't happen to animals. We're the very special kind of animal that does it, and in that sense, it's also beautiful somehow. But the struggle for freedom somehow, it is beautiful, because somehow in the beginning of it, it's already cursed in that sense. I don't believe that you can really achieve something that is like a freedom. I don't know. It doesn't go for me with human beings. No. Freedom, total freedom.
So it's actually just a word for something else in the context of human.
Yeah, it is like happiness, like love, like all those things. Like things that you can struggle for. That you can make yourself in motion towards, like reaching the goal. It's somehow a goal, like everybody wants to be happy. And everybody has always wanted to be happy, like the ancient Romans, they were always like putting this thing on the top of their philosophical thinking. What is it that makes us happy? You know, this was the answer to this would have answered all the questions somehow.
Yeah.
In those days we are living in, maybe the paradigm has shifted. We're asking about the freedom. How can we achieve freedom? But in a sense, the bottom line is still the same somehow. It's something that we want to reach, but it's impossible somehow. And this really makes us want to reach. It's very romantic in that sense.
Yeah. I guess it's also, I mean, in the context of Christiania, I guess freedom is being able to choose, like, without having any formal constraints, and like a government saying that you have to use this kind of material to build your houses because it's more safe for you, and etc., etc.
Yeah.
So they're kind of normally, I mean, we are kind of limited in what we can do and what we can't do. If we want to build a house, we have to go through a lot of bureaucracy to like measuring how far it's from the street, who will see it, and be able to see it even if it's on your own ground.
Yep.
You have to think about these things. And here, I guess they don't have the same limitations.
No, but I mean, this is interesting what you're saying, because right now we're looking at freedom in like small parts. These are small freedoms. Right now we're looking at the freedom of building, the freedom of acting inside of some kind of social
freedom
rules.
of carrying a gun.
Yeah, exactly. Small freedoms.
Yes.
Not that one big freedom, but small freedoms. Freedom is being split into tiny freedoms.
Yeah.
And those you can achieve. And from those you can be happy. But is freedom a sum of small freedoms?
Yeah.
Or is it something very... Freedom is holy. Freedom is the only thing that's holy. In that sense, it is true. Because what is holy is unreachable. What is holy is not here. Nothing is holy. Everything is holy. You know those things. In that sense. So freedom... Yeah, freedom.
Maybe it's also about the holes that are in the idea of freedom. That you
it's holy.
Let's not think about this part of what freedom is, because we'll never achieve that.
Yeah.
And this one over there,
Let's
so
focus
it's
on this kind of freedom.
holy in a different way.
Oh, so it's holy.
It's
Okay,
holy.
many-
We just misunderstood.
Many holes in it.
Yeah.
That's quite possible. And again, looking at the example of Christiania where we are right now, it is a very good example of a holy freedom. A very holy freedom. There's a lot of freedom here. But it's really like, you know, being shooting with a shotgun somehow.
Yes.
So
I mean, because it doesn't look more pleasant. I mean, I guess they believe in some sort of, freedom to be who you are. But I'm guessing that somebody came in there with a suit and kind of didn't fit in, they would also look, or half of them or most of them would also look at these people with the mistrust.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just a different community.
that's freedom.
Doing what it wants.
That's freedom.
Running with us. Hi. Hi, Papa.
Exactly. This is what I'm talking
Freedom.
about freedom. This is freedom. Impulses. No rules. Acting.
Maybe that is also one thing that is lacking in society today, that we don't really know what our impulses are, because they are dictated all the time.
Oh yes.
We think we want this kind of clothes, or we want that or that, because somebody on the television said, oh, you have to watch that film, 50 Shades of Grey, it's gonna be great. And they're gonna throw it everywhere, so people want to see if that is true, and people want to try things that are like, I guess, I mean, it's not choice really, and it's not based on their own inner ideas or thoughts or...
No. We're living in a surplus of impulses. We cannot really have time to choose one of them. We just have to follow. But on the other hand, it's too many to follow. We're kind of in this like in the lock of acting and non-acting. of kind of being somehow, because you know all of these things, they're supposed to make you happy. You're supposed to go and watch 50 Shades of Grey and I don't know, get some satisfaction out of it. Maybe repair your marriage problems. I don't know. But at the end of the day, you are kind of like in lock. You are locked. You cannot really act on all those impulses
because we never get really to figure out what it is we want. I mean, our personal I don't know, identity is kind of threatened by society and the rules of ethics, morals, and general law, and also just by politics and flux. Now this is cool. Now that is cool. Now this is cool. You know.
Exactly. So, trying to wrap it up, trying to go back to where we started. Is freedom holy?
It certainly is. Freedom is holy in a very unreligious way.